Hi guys, it's Mr. Gonzalez again, here with Lesson 2, the Treble Clef. The main objective of this lesson is to be able to identify the lines and the spaces of the treble clef. Let's get going. Music notes are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet, from A to G. By their position on the staff, they can represent the entire range of musical sound. Clef signs help to organize the staff so notes can be easily read. The treble clef is used for notes in the higher pitch ranges. The treble clef, or G clef, has evolved from a stylized letter G. Here is what a treble clef looks like, and if we follow from right here down and around this bend, we can see that this almost looks like the letter G. The curl of the treble clef circles the line on which the note G is placed. This G is above middle C, the C nearest the middle of a keyboard. If we look here, this part of the treble clef is almost a circle, and this is what encompasses that second line, or the G line. We will be using middle C as a reference for this lesson and the following lessons. Just know that middle C is nearest to the middle of a keyboard, and that this G on a keyboard represents this key. In the treble clef staff, the names of the notes on the lines from bottom to top are E, G, B, D, and F. We can help remember their positions by using this sentence. Every good boy does fine. And if you follow that along, every good boy does fine. The names of the notes in the spaces from bottom to top spell face. We have F, A, C, and E. Lastly, here we have all the notes of the treble clef staff and their positions on the keyboard. So we have E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and F. You may have noticed that E and F repeat twice. If you remember from the last lesson, when we have a note that is higher or lower, we get a higher or lower pitch. This E compared to this E sounds lower. This F compared to this F sounds lower. When you have a note that is lower on the staff, it will sound lower. When you have a note that is higher on the staff, it will sound higher. So even though they repeat the name, the pitch is different. You may have also noticed that we skipped the black keys. We will be talking about those in a later lesson. Let's take a look at these two exercises. In our first exercise, we are going to write the letter names of the following notes using capital letters. When we identify notes, we always use capital letters. First, let's identify if the note is on a line or a space. If a note is on a line, you will see the line through the note. If the note is on a space, you will see nothing in the center of the note. So here we have a note on the 1, 2, 3, on the third space. If you remember, we can use face when we have a note on the space. So we have F, A, C. This note is C. For our next note, we see that it is on the second line. And if you remember your sentence for our line notes in Treble Clef, we have every good boy does fine. So we have a G here. Next, we see a note on the first space. We can use face. Here we have an F. For our fourth note, we see a note on the third line. Let's use our sentence. Every good boy. So we have a B. For our next note, we have a note on the top line. So we can use our sentence again. Every good boy does fine. We have an F. And for our last note, we see a note on the top space. We can use face to help solve this. So we have F, A, C, and E. This is an E. For our last exercise, we are going to write the notes on the staff indicated by the letters. If the note can be written in two places, write one above the other. So, let's get started. I have changed my cursor so I can now manipulate notes on screen. Let's take a look here. We have an F. If we use face for our spaces, we know that there is an F on the first space. We also know if we use every good boy does fine for the lines, we have an F on the top. So here we have two locations, so we put them one on top of the other. Next, we have D. We can use our sentence for our lines. Every good boy does. D. Now, every good boy does fine does not have a C word in it, but we know that if we use face, F-A-C, we have a C there. And now these will get pushed back as we continue forward. So right now, just focus on what we have in front of us. Now we have a B. We can use our line sentence. Every good boy. B. Now we have E. If you remember from earlier, I said E is in two locations. E is here on the first line for every, and then E is on the top space as well for face, because we have F-A-C-E. We have an A now, so we can use our face, F-A. And then lastly, we have G for every good. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you feel more confident in your ability to identify the lines and the spaces of the treble clef. In our next lesson, we will be looking at the bass clef.